Welcome back to Chinese cooking tips from Aunt Juan Juan. Today we are going to make a meat dish called, I made this up, called two meat stew. And the reason I called it a two meat stew is I'm going to mix venison with pork. And I have this idea because our niece Georgie in New York State is actually a huntress. Good for you, Georgie. I'm so proud of you. So she might be thinking of ways how to use venisons. Now, the reason I like to mix this two meat up is venison tends to be a little bit dry, very lean meat on the dry side. But pork, and Georgie also has access to organic pork, has a lot of fat. And I do not like to waste things. So I love the fat part of the pork as well. So this is a pork stew that we have especially cut to retain all the fat as well as the skin, because I adore the pork skin itself as well. So we're going to combine them. The fat of the pork is going to make the venison so tender and juicy. But for you out there watching, if you don't have access to venison, don't panic. Any meat will do, and it doesn't have to be two meat. Any meat. Beef is great, pork alone is fantastic, even venison itself by itself is okay too. So you just have to use a lot more oil than what we're doing here. So this cooking method applies to all meat is what I'm trying to say. First of all, oil up your pan with, heat up some ginger. And I haven't used a lot of oil in this dish because there's going to be so much fat from the pork. I'm going to brown the pork first. Brown them on both sides. The pan itself is probably a little too small for the amount of meat I'm going to brown. Now it's very important that you brown them. Turn it up to medium high. So I'm going to have to separate them into two different bags. One bag for venison and one bag for the pork. Okay. Now that both lots of meat are properly browned, I'm going to combine them. This is the pork that's been browned. Add them to the venison that's already been browned. Now, this is the venison cut, of course, is the pork roast cut. Mix them up. Looking good already. Now, here comes the flavoring. Of course, soy sauce. And you do want to use soy sauce because the soy sauce, the darker the soy sauce it is, the darker your meat will be and more appetizing it will look. So, soy sauce is critical in this dish. Ginger, lots of ginger. You cannot overuse ginger in this dish. Cooking wine, any kind of cooking wine will do. It does not have to be Chinese. If you don't have it, you can use sherry or even brandy will be even better. In terms of how much you need, I really don't know. Use your own judgment. See what kind of taste you like. Now, this next thing here is also optional. It's a spice called 5 spice. And you can buy it at any Oriental store. I promise you I will not send you on a chase for exotic ingredient. But You should be able to find this in any Asian market. If you choose not to have it, not to add that, that's fine as well. But I like the pleasantness of this spice. Last thing is also optional. It's called Star Anise. It's a Chinese spice called Star Anise. You don't have to have it, but if you do, 4 or 5 cloves of it. The amount of soy sauce that I just used is way not salty enough for this dish because there's a lot of meat in it. So I either add more soy sauce and a little bit more salt. Add salt. I almost forget one critical ingredient, a dash of brown sugar. Looking good already, and let me go get the sugar and we'll add them up and let it stew. Turn down your heat. Now that it's in full boil, turn down your heat to probably a little bit way less than half. A nice tablespoon, well, no, a teaspoon. Don't use too much sugar. This is critical because too sweet is not compatible for meat. You just want to bring out the flavor a little bit with just a hint of sugar. And I make that mistake very often, so you're just going to have to experiment with it. And I think that's proper. Maybe a dash of water. Bring it to a boil, and you're ready to let it cook. And we'll check back when it's halfway done and give it a stir. There you have it. We'll check back in a little bit. So here we are, about an hour of stewing the meat, and we are just about done. This is about 3 or 4 pounds of meat, and about an hour cut to about bite size. About an hour is just right. So how much doneness you want is again up to you. But to me, any longer than this, the meat will start to disintegrate. So I'm going to turn this off. And this is to be served over hot rice. The best part of this dish is this, the juice. My children have learned this and they go straight to this. Whenever this is on the table, they serve this over rice and flavor the rice so deliciously. According to Chinese cooking, the juice of any dish is actually the essence. So don't discard that. You can put it over rice, or you can make that into a noodle soup. Put that into a noodle soup or stir-fry vegetable with it. It's very versatile. So there we are. If this is way too much fat for you, then you can trim off some of this fat. But fat is what makes this dish good. Until next time, enjoy.